I did want to play some clips from this and react. Hasan weighs in a little bit on the TYT drama that's been going on. So that's certainly interesting. I definitely have some opinions on his opinions. But and then they also talk a little bit about the squad and force the vote, etc. So this will be interesting. I have generally positive but somewhat mixed opinions on Hasan Piker, but we'll expound on that and get into it all as we react.
I just stay out of like all the fucking Jimmy Dore drama or whatever the fuck's going on at any given moment. Like, people will always come in and they're like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Like, I would much rather
there.
Yeah, I would much rather talk about, like literally using a pocket pussy than that. Which I do. I talk about a variety of different things. I just don't think that like leftist content creator drama is productive or interesting. I think it's like extremely nerdy, and it's one way that like people can still feel as though they're consuming political content while actually they're just like consuming drama content. So that's I would rather just do like, I would literally rather just watch 90 Day Fiancé, which I do.
Yeah, then at least you're being like honest about what you're doing with your time, how you're spending your time. So
I think it's just more compelling. It's just more interesting.
Yeah, the personalities are more interesting, all of that.
So I actually totally disagree with that. What were you going to say, Zach?
Oh yeah, I was about to hard disagree because I feel like these are three of the most powerful and influential new left media commentators. And whether or not they know it or like it, like what they say has so much weight and it has a lot of political power, and at times it has more political power than even our Congress people, right? Like if Emmanuel Cleaver tweets something, I guarantee you it doesn't have the pull that Kyle, Krystal, or Hasan have. With their followers, and they can drum up a lot of support. And so to pretend that their political differences don't matter and that it's just drama, and that when Cenk Uygur is going out there and pretending that, Aaron Mate is a fraud with no evidence and that he's taking Russian money, like what the fuck? Like if MSNBC was doing that, you guys would be pulling out your hair. You would be losing your mind. Like it's not drama. If you want to be taken seriously, we have to be able to fucking criticize you, and we have to be able to analyze your commentary. Like I think it's so stupid that people on the left want to defend themselves by being like, anybody that analyzes my commentary and disagrees with me is engaging in drama. Like any kind of debate is a debate when it's formal and set up the way we want to, but whenever it's something new that's not the way we want it, that's drama.
Yeah, exactly. And also Hasan, admitted on the same podcast episode that basically he owes his entire career and viewership to the fact that he was platformed by TYT. He basically made his name that way. So, it's easy for you to turn around now and be like, oh, I'm above this drama. I don't want to get involved when my uncle and the person who single-handedly gave me my career is out there smearing other journalists as Russian assets and engaging in neo-McCarthyite behavior and tactics to take down your political opponents. I just think that's incorrect and kind of cowardly. And also, sure, some of the drama is definitely unproductive. We call it out when it gets too ugly, and we say like, all right, calm down, guys. This isn't productive anymore, et cetera, et cetera. It's not all by its very nature good or productive. Yeah, it's obviously sometimes worthy of criticism. No one is above criticism. That being said, to act like, for example, the conversations that were occurring over Force the Vote, the very important strategic conversations and debates that were going on, to compare that to 90 Day Fiancé and act like, oh, this is no different than some fucking bullshit garbage reality show being fed to you by corporate America to distract you from what's actually going on. That's not true. That's not true at all. Like I said, these are real strategical debates and disagreements. And even though it sometimes does get too ugly, over the top, and unproductive, to dismiss the totality of the discussion as, unproductive drivel or drama, I just think is patently false. And I'll just say too, obviously I really respect Kyle Kulinski and Krystal Ball, but I will say they've both been making a lot of videos and a lot of hay out of the situation that's been going on at the Hill, the utter implosion and all the drama that's been going down in the wake of Kyle or Krystal and Sagar's exit. Exactly, but I would say that the TYT story isn't really that dissimilar. It's also a story of a media company gone completely awry, after taking this massive fusion of corporate money, changing their tune, toning down the show, completely biting their tongue on a lot of issues like Syria and Assange, or just straight up changing their opinion altogether. How is that not a story that's worthy of commenting on? That's an illustration of corruption. That is example that can't be denied of what big money does to people's values. And I know that Kyle Kulinski was on the TYT network. He maybe still is. I know that Krystal has talked about how Cenk, really helped out Rising in the early days by coming on and taking them seriously. So I get it. When you get involved with people personally, it's harder to be objective about this stuff. But I mean, to act like everyone that's analyzing or discussing the situation is just like a, fucking TMZ, fucking tabloid bullshit. Like
what everybody says about the Vanguard. The Vanguard's TMZ of the left.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so it's whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of irritates me. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, it's kind of like it's like we all accept that mainstream media is horseshit. Literally, the Supreme Court just told us that.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna waste my time analyzing horseshit. Okay, I am perfectly happy to be like, yeah, there are a bunch of other people that are analyzing horseshit. I don't feel the compulsion to do that. What there are not a lot of people doing is what the fucking Vanguard is doing, which is analyzing new left media and trying to hold people accountable and saying, hey, this is fucked up. This is inconsistent with our values as leftists. Why are you saying this? Let's try and get back to the center. This is what we need to do. And then when people are like, hey, do you want to come on and have a conversation? We're like, yeah, let's talk about this. And we can disagree and we can debate and all that kind of shit because we're fucking adults and, we can disagree with you and still respect you. Just like I have respect for, obviously we have a lot of respect for Krystal and Kyle, even though we massively disagree with their position on this right here.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even though I disagree a lot more probably with Hasan, I still think it's generally a good thing what he's doing. He has a very large platform. He's spreading leftist, socialist values. That's all good. I don't have no problem with that. So
I just think there's a inconsistency here, and it's all because of. I would say that it might have to do with the fact that all of this is because they have personal relationships with Cenk and Jimmy, and Hasan won't come out. That's pretty obvious right here. That the reason if this was happening at the New York Times, if this was happening at any other kind of publication, if it was happening at The Nation, let's go with a smaller, let's say if like Mother Jones was having a shit ton and it was like big news, this would all be stuff that was fair to talk about, right? If Current Affairs was melting down and a bunch of shit was happening, they would probably run a story on it and be like, this isn't drama. This is like, Current Affairs. People are employed there, right? Like this is actual story. These are people with employees. Like it baffles me that these people are still willing to simp for Cenk after he union busted at his own fucking publication. And it's like, you talk shit on union busters all goddamn day, as you should.
Yeah.
But like this union busting piece of shit does not get my sympathy.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's a great point. It's not like people criticize Cenk for no reason just because I don't like him. It's like, no, there are a laundry list of substantive issues. We've had criticisms of their commentary over there, the direction of the show. It's an absolute, shadow of its former self, pale imitation of what they used to do, et cetera, et cetera. These are real criticisms of what was the most relevant leftist media outlet on the entire internet. This isn't just like some dinky little irrelevant piece of shit. No, there's a reason why everyone talks about them. They had this huge potential that they completely squandered.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's obvious, and I don't know why everybody refuses to pretend. Like everybody wants to pretend that this isn't like worthwhile to talk about new media. It's like if you want new media to have any power, like people are going to talk about it. Like. It would just, I don't know. It's all strange to me that people want to pretend that like new media
they're above it.
Like,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's take a look at this next bit. They get into the squad and force the vote a little bit. I thought this was interesting as well.
I don't know what otherwise like anti-electoralist leftists, I don't know what they expect from the squad beyond like, clippable moments like the ones that Ilhan Omar, who is incredibly fucking brave, gets.
By the way, we made it pretty damn explicit what we wanted from these Congress members like a couple months ago. I think it's not like it was a vague assertion, do you recall hashtag force the vote? It was in the name, but anyway.
To have where she'll ask a normal question to Anthony Blinken and then the entire reactionary media circuit will just like unload onto her and be like this Muslim woman.
Also, Ilhan Omar is very brave, but it's not, these people's job is to legislate, not be fucking influencers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's great when they go out there and do a clippable moment and say the right thing at the right time. That's awesome. I have no problem with it, but are you actually going to do anything with the power you've amassed? Anyway, I'll stop fucking interrupting.
Wearing a hijab is actually an anti-Semite. I promise you. Please believe us. But like beyond that, like what are they supposed to do? I mean, look, I don't know where you guys even fall on the force the vote stuff when it was first happening.
Yeah.
But I said something along the lines of like, I wanted to force the vote on at least even the public option. Like if we're going to symbolically push for something, I would have much rather had like someone who could potentially replace Pelosi, right? Without a replacement. It's like that is not even a hollow victory, it's a hollow defeat. And obviously that takes time, and like, you have to work through the party infrastructure to have your troops ready, basically, for that opportunity. But I wanted to push a public option at least. Like, why are we not even talking about the public option now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want Medicare for all. I want a fully nationalized healthcare system. I think that is the best possible way, is the most ethical way to go about it, and that's the best possible way to go about it. But I think Medicare for all was a good.
By the way, it is fucked up that Biden went back on his promise for a public option, but I actually am of the opinion that a public option could low-key damage the end goal of getting to Medicare for all, because it will fail so miserably. It'll get so defunded and overburdened that then everyone that supports private health insurance will just point to it as why we can't go further and have Medicare for all. It's the opposite of progress.
Yeah, it's the exact thing that happened with the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, no, exactly. So this is a bullshit line of logic right here. I'll just say that.
Stepping stone towards that, okay? Like some form of comprehensive single-payer universal healthcare. But we're having a hard time expanding Medicare at this point. Like Medicare eligibility getting lowered to 55 is out of the question now. Now we're talking about like, or even lower than that. Like it's ridiculous to me that like we have this expectation that like the squad is going to be a bunch of magicians that somehow magically are able to craft legislation. I mean, they definitely.
People love to do this shit too. They love to straw man the argument of people that criticize the squad. Like, what do you expect them to just pull a rabbit out of their ass and fix everything? It's like, dude, don't be so goddamn reductive. We made it so clear.
Like when I talked to right wingers, and that guy was like, I bet you everybody wants a unicorn too. And I was like, okay, well, unicorns don't exist. But
that's
fucking Medicare for all.
No, you're right. It's the same shit. It's like, what do you want? A piece of cake on your fucking.
Yeah, you want a candy?
Yeah.
You want candy? Want some candy? Remember that?
Yeah.
An old gnome, the Chaumsmeister, offering us some candy instead of fucking healthcare.
Luckily, Kyle comes in here and does
I
some
imagine
explaining.
Really mess up. I know, like Kyle tracks them very closely.
Yeah,
and
let me interject.
Great suggestions always, but ultimately, like, I don't know what they're supposed to do.
So let me interject because I just want to break it down for you. So first, I want to separate some things out. There are criticisms that I think are totally illegitimate, and I think it undermines the cause of people who are going after the squad from the left. And the criticisms that I think are illegitimate is when anybody brings up something like corruption, or anybody brings up, they're just like Pelosi. If you can't see the difference between AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, and Pelosi, you're just dense. Like you're a sloppy, unnuanced thinker. And so that annoys me. And the other thing, the corruption thing annoys me because words have to have meaning, guys. And corruption means you're taking money from donors and you're doing the bidding of the donors. If you think that's the case with the Justice Democrats, you're just factually wrong. They're not taking money and they're not doing the bidding of donors. However, so those are the criticisms I think are totally illegitimate, and I wish everybody would stop making them because I don't think people understand how dumb they look when they make those criticisms.
Wait, can I just jump in right there really quickly, though? Because I do want to correct Kyle here, and we've done it on the show before. He uses a very narrow understanding of the term corruption. So if you look up corruption in the Oxford Language Dictionary, it says dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery. What Gavin and I argue is that the kind of corruption that the squad is experiencing is a systemic kind of corruption. Typically, to how we talk about how a lot of white people are, they participate in a systemic kind of racism that is not the kind that you're directly conscious of, right? There's a difference between like fucking putting on a hood or committing a microaggression, right? But they're still falling under the same umbrella of racism, and the nuanced fucking thinkers are the ones that can understand that those are both racism, but they're different, right? So what I would say to Kyle is that this kind of corruption that we are experiencing is corruption. It is political corruption that comes from steeping in the swamp of Washington and having your scope of reality changed. Your understanding of what your role is changed. You're violating all the promises that you made to the people. That changed, right? You had one strategy that you said you were going to follow when you were getting elected, right? We used the example of Cori Bush because Gavin and I celebrated her tremendously. She came on our show. We were really excited about it. And, she also fell victim to a lot of this kind of squad thinking, right? And then you also do have a financial element. When I see somebody like AOC giving thousands and thousands of dollars to blue dog opponents, like the person running against Eva Patsova, who had a formidable chance in the primary last year as a first-time candidate, and as a second-time candidate had a much greater chance. I don't know if she's formally announced yet that she's getting back in, but I know she's thinking about it. And those are the kind of things that I think that is corruption, right? And so, of course, I'm not fucking dense enough to argue that AOC and the rest of the squad are the same as Pelosi, but what I'm saying is that they're under her fucking boot, man.
No, exactly. They're 100% under her thumb. They're under the thumb of the system, and they're not really resisting it in the way that they promised they would. They're not meeting the expectations that they set. It's not like it was us over here, like projecting what we want onto these people. They're the ones that said it. So, yeah, exactly right.
The criticisms that I think are legit are the following. So yes, when they tried to do force the vote over Medicare for all, they didn't lift a finger on that front and they didn't agree with it. Okay, fair enough. The response from AOC was interesting, though, because she said, I don't want to do it on Medicare for all because there's no chance of us passing Medicare for all. We have to keep our powder dry for something where it could actually work. And she brought up $15 minimum wage for that. Then the fight came up over $15 minimum wage, and they instantly folded, and they didn't do dick.
True.
And they had the ability to block all legislation and say, we're not voting for anything unless it has $15 minimum wage in there. Now, if they were to do that, the media would have rained holy hell on them. The Democratic leadership would have rained holy hell on them, and they would have said, you're in league with the Republicans, and you're obstructing and helping them. But if you had a spine and you knew how to fight, you could say, that's bullshit. I'm blocking this from the left. And if you want us to vote for it, it's not on me. It's on Biden. It's on Manchin. It's on the Senate Democrats who are against it. Put the $15 minimum wage in there. It polls at fucking 70% or whatever it polls at. Everybody wants this. There's even some polls where Republicans want it. So who are we kidding? We're fighting for the American people, and Democratic leadership isn't, and the Republicans aren't. And so they didn't fight on that. Where they're failing, it's a very simple answer. Here's where they're failing. They were sent there to do Tea Party tactics. They're not doing Tea Party tactics. They're fucking trying to play the inside game and if I'm nice to Pelosi and I'm nice to leadership, maybe they'll give me some crumbs of change and I'll like that. That's not going to fucking work. It's never worked, which is why we sent you there with the Tea Party idea in mind, because when the Tea Party did it, it fucking worked. They got a lot of their priorities because they made John Boehner fucking hate them just as much as the Tea Party Republicans hated the Democrats. They hated Republican leadership, and they shifted that Overton window to the right. As much as I love the Justice Democrats, and it breaks my heart to say it, they just haven't done the thing that we sent them there to do. So that would be like the substantive criticism of them. How do you respond to that?
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think that there is more that they could do as far as like utilizing their incredible media credentials. Like they're very good. They're savvy. Like they're really fucking savvy. They know how to use social media really well. They know how to utilize the media really well. I wish they would do more of that to at least to instill certain messages back to the American people, like to educate the American people as best as they possibly can by even in certain instances
Medicare
blocking legislation.
Extremely popular. $15 an hour is already extremely popular. The people have been fucking educated, Hasan. I don't know if you're not educated, but go look at the popularity. Fucking Republicans want this shit.
Yeah.
Biden lost Florida and $15 an hour referendum passed in Florida. Over half of Republicans want Medicare for all, bro. Like that we've done the fucking footwork. People want this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see that clip the other day from Morning Joe?
No.
Okay, I got to play this for you. This is crazy. Shout out to Case Study QB, by the way, for the clip. But yeah, this is pretty crazy.
Let's talk about the Democratic Party. And over the past 3 or 4 months, we've talked a lot about Joe Manchin. We've talked a lot about getting to 50 votes. We've talked a lot about whether it's possible to get to 60 votes. We've talked about the filibuster. I have noticed that you and Bernie and let's just say some of the more high-profile progressive leaders, that you all have held your tongue far more than when I was in Congress.
Thank you for the credit.
and I was on the other side. You know, we would complain every 3 minutes about it doesn't cut enough. We're not getting close enough to balancing the budget. And I'm just, I've been curious. How have you? First of all, have you done it? Because we could never do it. Is there more of a plan to let the moderates work through this, let them try to get to where they go, and then we work behind the scenes and meet them behind the scenes?
I do think that there has been a large amount of behind the scenes work.
So yeah, basically, even
What the fuck?
Morning Joe's like, so why aren't you doing even what I was doing in Congress? And he was a complete milquetoast motherfucker. He was like, even I was calling out leadership and causing a ruckus and trying to get my way. What's going on? What's your strategy here? And she giggles along, essentially after being told by Morning Joe that she's ineffective and not doing anything, and says thanks for the credit. It's like Hasan and people like Hasan that hold this viewpoint about the squad. It's like, do you not agree that clip was bad? Do you not agree that strategy is ineffective? Is this really what you thought we were sending the squad members there to do?
To go make friends with mainstream media, right? As they turn their back on new media that got them there, right? That's exactly what they turned them to do. When was the last time you saw AOC on a show? Not even, I'm not going to say like
Hasan. It was Hasan's.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure. Yeah, it was when she went and did the gaming streaming thing. That's why he's probably simping for her like crazy. Yeah.